actually got a good collection of boxes here. I'm trying to think how much of this is actually anime, how much is not. For example, this is obviously not the complete second season of Walking Dead. Oh, I was totally looking for a new pair of shoes. Oof. Well, I think this all makes sense. Yeah, totally need those shoes. What's with all these shoe things? And this one, which is nice and heavy, looks like it has the rest. Totally shoe shopping. Indeed. Okay. All silliness aside, there's actually a bunch of curious stuff to explore this time. Okay, let's begin with the things that were in that first box, which is Starship Troopers Invasion, which is listed on AniDB in my anime list. I haven't checked Anime Planet, but you know, I kind of trust AniDB first, and I believe, well, I don't know much about this, but it showed up as anime, so I bought the Blu-ray and the DVD versions. They weren't listed as anime on Amazon or the DVD aficionado, whatever. Dang it. I just need to get started. I don't know that there's anything particularly spectacularly different about these, but there we go, we got that in. Because really these are just, well, I guess the DVD disc looks very simple and the Blu-ray disc is a little more colorful. Oh well, I'll have to look at it, watch it, and actually talk about it. For the next DVD Blu-ray combo, we got K-On! Season 2 Part 2. Yes, I was in the middle of watching this season. This is an opportunity to finish it. So take all the wrapping off. And in the DVD version we have 3 discs. Which is episode 14 through 27 on 3 DVDs. And then here on the Blu-ray version, we've got 2 of those. Same images used. And the other new thing that arrived in the packages was freezing, the Blu-ray DVD combo pack. Which I'm a bit curious about. Come on. So this one, we're going to pull the plastic off. That's obviously not connected, so it's Blu-ray sized. We got characters. Her clothes seem to be falling off. Then we've got this stuff. I don't see any indication here of a part 1 and a part 2. So this one has the 2 Blu-ray editions, and this one has the 2 DVD editions. So I assume, let's see, 1 through 7 and 8 through 12. So there's a total of, it's a 12 episode series, it sounds like. And it looked like we had some more risque cover art. Oh jeez, they're wearing even less there. So let's not dwell on that for too long. Now, that wasn't everything. because there were a couple of other releases that came out. First up, we have Space Adventure Cobra, which I've not seen and don't know much about, but something about it which looks very classical. As in, like, maybe I've seen this series parodied in Sergeant Frog at least. If not in other places, of course. This is from the same Eastern Star, which I think gave us, have been giving us some nice, recognizable, but also somewhat more obscure, relatively speaking, I guess, titles. It's sort of like, this one's North Star is really well known, but given the explosion of anime, of people who watch anime at least, I don't think a lot of people who got into it have gotten around to watching it yet. So I think that one could be relatively rarer. And Space Adventure Cobra, I think, is one of those classics, but oh well. And last but not least, I know there was an Adult Source Media thing released today. I just haven't gotten around to buying it yet. But I did get the Right Stuff re-release of Martian Successor Nadesico complete collection, and I haven't opened it yet either. And for the basic reason as to why, it would be because it says here includes the complete 26 episode TV series, and the Geki Ganger 3 OVA with remastered video, plus the Prince of Darkness movie motion picture. Now, I already have the series and the movie, but as far as I've been able to tell, this is the first release of the Genki Ganger 3 OVA, which is the series within the series. There we go. Oop. Almost. Not quite. Now, there we go. So, we've got graphics front and back, and that would be the OVA. It's something that I intend to eventually check out, and when I do that, I'll probably finally watch the Prince of Darkness movie, which is the only Nadesico thing I haven't watched. Yeah, it's not fitting in there, but it's not like this has a bunch of artwork on it anyways. In fact, the more useful thing is that Right Stuff also sent these fridge magnets, which are pretty useful because I don't have any fridge magnets, so now I have two anime themed ones. Yay! Alright, there we go. That's all of this week's new anime DVDs. So while I watched a good amount of stuff, it's not a very wide variety of stuff, so I think it'll be a relatively quick analysis of what I've watched, because let's see, I've finished Dragon Ball Z. I started from just after where Kai leaves off and went to the end of the series, which means I rewatched all the Boo stuff basically. And I think I already mentioned last week that's really easy to get started, and I didn't notice the drag as much, even though it was definitely not as fast as Kai. And overall, I thought it was fairly watchable, because the Boo saga kind of keeps things interesting by not really defining itself by a single pace as it goes. It's a bit on the slow side, but I guess relatively speaking, you're not too bad off coming off of Kai and finishing off the Dragon Ball Z content with the Boo saga. And I'm not entirely sure if Boo saga was actually in the original manga. I've heard from one person that it isn't, and so I have good reason to believe it. But I would have expected to also see more talk about that. So I'm only vaguely certain that's the case, and if it's not in there, it's actually pretty decent, especially since, like I mentioned with GT, GT wasn't done by Akira Toriyama, who made Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, so it feels very fanfiction-y. The Boo saga, I'm not sure, really did per se. I could be. It's not to the degree of GT in any sense of the imagination, and it's actually pretty fine. I would actually honestly not be surprised if, even if it's not in the manga, it was still done by Akira Toriyama just for the series or something like that. Because there's something about it that just works. Like, magic has been a part of the Dragon Ball universe since the beginning. I mean, there was magic that was happening where they fought some magic using things, and it's like, okay, so they fight all these other things that are like evolved and power level designed whatever stuff, and it's almost like Dragon Ball Z kind of forgot that there's this magical element to it, which the Buu Saga kind of brought back and kind of is just interesting because it's like, I don't know. I've always said that Dragon Ball Z kind of makes sense because it kind of covers this three-tier thing of the best fighter of blank category, and magic is kind of magical, and it's just like, yeah, somebody who would be kind of from that tier of thought in Dragon Ball Z form would be pretty, maybe potentially more disastrous, I guess. Hard to say, I don't know. So overall, it wasn't too bad. And especially since, like I said last week, I've been distracting myself with a lot of Minecraft projects. But if you watched Kai and you start watching Dragon Ball Z from, I think, episode 195, you're not too bad off, I think. You may probably notice the slow down, but I think it would have really taken somebody who's not seen Dragon Ball Z before to more accurately judge that. Because again, I had seen a lot of this stuff before. Mostly watching this was like, oh yeah, I remember that part. Oh yeah, I remember that. So I don't remember how they transitioned that. Oh, that's how they transitioned to that. It's so for me, it was more of a refresher of what happened there. If during the part of the series, I feel I've seen the least, but deserved slightly more attention, I guess. Simply because there was pretty good entertainment value, in my opinion. But, I don't know. That's Dragon Ball Z. Let's see. I started watching Shangri-La on my own, for my own thing, and I think I finished the first disc, and I may have seen a comment somewhere that maybe this was done by the same people who did Last Exile, or maybe somebody commented that the artwork looked like it, and starting up the series, I couldn't help but feel that same thing. Because, yeah, I think it started out with a similar concept to Last Exile, where there's an interesting catch to the way it starts, but it also just keeps throwing all these different groups and people, and it's kind of like, why is this being introduced? I don't know why I should care about this person being introduced. And overall, making me feel a little confused. It's got neat groups, organizations set up, imagery, but I can't help but feel a little lost. Oh, and it also has that thing where it looks like there's an upper tier society kind of over a lower tier one. But overall, I'm not saying it's bad because I haven't gotten far enough to really say yay or nay on how it goes. It's been interesting. I'm curious to see more. But I just also couldn't help but notice that it had that same starting feeling, and it kind of makes me want to rewatch the first episode of The Girl Who Leapt Through Space, which I kind of recall really enjoying, despite the fact that it kind of does something similar, except even though it introduces a bunch of things rapidly, I think it makes those relationships more obvious by having the main character kind of flow through the story, and you're learning about everybody's relationship to her and setting up the ability for there to be relevance in that relationship or something like that. But that's only a vague recollection, so I should probably at least glimpse over the beginning of the first episode or the entirety of the first episode and try and understand that, because that's an interesting thing to analyze about myself. This difference in these two openings, and I don't think Shangri-La is necessarily bad in what it's doing. It's just not quite what catches my eye, I think. And other than that, things have been actually rather straightforward with one friend resuming watching Fate Stay Night, and we watched the next DVD, and I can't think of anything particular to comment about. It was entertaining. A lot of this stuff is interesting to watch in light of other revelations of Fate Stay or the Fate series stuff, and that's actually been rather entertaining. But I'm trying to remember what happens in the next couple DVDs, and I guess I only vaguely recall. And we'll find out. And for the other person that I was watching stuff with, which would have been my brother tonight, we watched more Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. We finished episode 56, and we're getting into the series building up to the final confrontation, where it's still in kind of phase it goes through, where it introduces problem and a resolution comes out of nowhere. Problem, resolution comes out of nowhere. And I remember that would probably be my only real complaint about Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, is this feeling like it's a little too convenient for a certain stretch of the series, but overall it's not too bad, especially since it serves as a just fine transition between all the setup that's going on and the interesting things that keep it happening, and it's an excellent bridge to the ending of the series, which was really good. So my brother's almost at that point where I somehow doubt he will be able to stop watching once he sees the right episodes. But then again, he's given himself enough time that next week he won't have to worry about losing sleep to watch that, I think. Because I don't think any of these were on his to-watch list. Alright, well, there we go. What else to comment about? Not sure. Whew. I keep delaying taking my car to the dealership. I've got to do it 2 more times, and I'm going to do it once tomorrow, and probably in October, because next month is a very busy month. We're seeing the release of Fate Zero Season 2, which on its own kind of throws my financial predictions off, and I figure it was maybe kind of a shaky idea that I would be able to do my final car maintenance thing next month, so I'll push that up to October. So it pretty much means that it's definitely going to be after October when I start buying used DVDs again, and I'm probably going to try and do that one minimally, since there are some things that I need to save up money for. Well, more like want to save up money for, but I don't know. That's the update for all my anime stuff, I think. Yeah, I think that's the update for all the anime stuff. Again, there was an Adult Source Media title released today that I just didn't pre-order because I need to ask a question of my bank. But I'm going to figure that out tomorrow, and hopefully it'll be here by next week if it's still in stock, although it's an Adult Source Media release, so who cares. But yeah, y'all have a nice week.